From caves that depict ancient drawings of strange fish-tailed humans to a family that is the descendants of a legendary mermaid. Don't forget to click subscribe to become part of the DTR family and that little bell icon so that you know when we post new videos. Number 13. Royal Sea Family. Chile had a mythological king called Milalobo who was half a sea lion and half a man. However, unlike most mermaids, Milalobo had a human mother and a sea lion father. He then married a human woman who gave him a son they named Pincoy and two daughters they called Pincoya and Serena. On several occasions, sailors claimed that Pincoya helped them find their way back to shore when lost at sea. Pincoya was described as having blue eyes and blonde hair, and when she sat on a rock facing the sea, fishermen would have a prosperous fishing year, but if she looked towards the shore, they would struggle to find food. Their family ties get blurred at some point because Pincoy and Pincoya are also said to have been husband and wife. A 1632 account claimed that Pincoya was seen coming out of the sea with a baby. Number 12. Seask. The Scottish Highlands once hosted the half-woman, half-salmon mythical creature known as the Seask. Legend has it that any sailor who captured one was granted 3 wishes. However, like most mermaids, the Seask would lure men to their death. The only way to kill the sirens was by destroying their soul container, which was something much like the Horcrux in the Harry Potter books. If a sailor managed to woo and win the heart of a mermaid, she would take a human woman form and live with him on land. On top of the 3 wishes, the mermaid would also grant the man good luck throughout his life. Several Scottish families claim that they are descendants of mermaid-human couples. Number 11. Brazil's Iara. Iara, the Lady of the Waters, initially was referred to as a water snake, but folklore later described her as an immortal woman with brown skin and green eyes. She lured sailors to her underwater palace and made them her lovers. However, she is also blamed for several accidents that happened in the Amazon, particularly those involving the disappearance of men. The legend is that Iara was a fearsome warrior outshining her brothers and winning the love and respect of her community. Her jealous brothers killed and dumped her body in the Amazon River. Jace, the moon goddess, took pity on her and resurrected her as a mermaid. She then spent her days exerting revenge against men by drowning them in the Amazon River. She eventually met a man called Jaragari when he was fishing, and they fell in love, which finally set her spirit to rest. Number 10. Japanese NINGYO. Mermaids have always been described as donning long, lustrous hair, having glistening skin, and generally being bewitchingly beautiful. However, the Japanese NINGYO were more of monsters said to be giant fish with human faces, fangs, and horns, and a monkey's mouth. Folklore also had it that those who ate the NINGYO flesh were rewarded with beauty and eternal youth. However, catching one of these monstrous sea creatures proved quite the task, and once one had been captured, it brought with it misfortunes to entire villages and storms. The Japanese also had the Jiaran, which resembled traditional mermaids and were described as skilled craftspeople. The Jin Dynasty mermaids could weave intricately beautiful dragon yarn, which is white cloth that never got wet. They paid back acts of kindness from people by filling up jars with their tears, which turned into pearls. Several members of the Japanese high society claim to own mermaids' dragon yarn. Number 9. Old Sailors' Tales. Sailors have reported mermaid sightings since the 13th century, and most of their tales live on to support the existence of these sirens. Several sailors continuously searched for the mythical creatures when out at sea, but clearly the mermaids never wanted to be found. That did not stop the sailors from coming back ashore with more tales about the sirens, and one popular one that is of a goddess and her human lover. Upset about killing her human lover, the goddess plunged herself into the sea. However, her divine virtue prevented her from dying. She then transformed into the half-human, half-fish creatures we now know as mermaids. Number 8. Irish Mermaids. Irish folklore told of a magical cap referred to as a cohuiline druith that enabled marrows to live underwater. Female Meros had long green hair similar to how traditional mermaids have been depicted, and they were also strikingly beautiful. Male Meros were considered frighteningly hideous and looked more fish than man. The male Meros were also said to be very cruel, which led their women to seek relationships with human men. When Meros and humans had offsprings, they often had webbing between their fingers and scales. However, Meros would also eventually get tired of the land and return to the sea, taking their human family with them or deserting them. A big thank you to all you guys who leave us comments. For today's video, we are giving a shout out to Brewski, who commented on our video Most Insane Fur Patterns on Pets, where we asked if pet owners should be able to dye their pets. Brewski commented, "Just because you can doesn't mean you should." Great point. Number 7. Medieval mermaids. Medieval church decorations had mermaid carvings and paintings on misericords and capitals. Usually the sirens were shown with 2 tails and seemed wildly unkempt despite always depicted with a mirror and comb. Mermaids were thought to represent lust, which is one of the 7 deadly sins. Mermaids were allegedly also part of the medieval royal family. When King Edward IV married Elizabeth Woodville, her family claimed that she descended from Melusine, who was a 2-tailed mermaid and wife to Raymond of Poitou. Number 6. Oannes and the Sumerian Tree of Life. Ancient civilizations had gods who controlled the elements and also demigods who took the form of part human and part animal beings. Mesopotamia mythology referenced an amphibious being called Oannes, whose principal role was to bestow wisdom to mankind. Berosus, a Babylonian priest, described the god as having the head of a man beneath his fish head and having the feet of a man under his fish tail. Oannes apparently visited the Persian Gulf seashore during the day to teach mankind the sciences, writing, and the arts. A famous rock art depicts Oannes next to the Tree of Life alongside Asher, the king of gods, as well as 2 other fishmen. Number 5. The Mermaids of Africa. The existence of mermaids and their reported sightings have been widespread, and several of them once and possibly still inhabit the African waters. African me-spirits are referred to as mami wata, meaning water spirit in the West African region. The folk legends about these water creatures describe them as part human and can transform to either fish, woman, or mermaid as they please. They are also often depicted carrying snakes around their shoulders and are associated with sex, fertility, and healing. The mythical sea creatures did not only reside around the West African waters, and they have also been depicted on Egyptian sand rock art. Number 4. The Cave of Swimmers. Tucked away in the Sahara section of the Libyan desert is the Cave of Swimmers with ancient rock art. Hungarian explorer Laszlo Almasi discovered the cave and its rock art in 1933. Its Neolithic pictographs depict limber people swimming, which lends the cave its name. The rock art dates as far back as 10,000 years ago when the Sahara was significantly wetter and greener. The limberness of the people depicted by the rock art does spark a few questions. Could they have been part fish as well? Number 3. Russian folk art. A famous 1866 Russian folk art depicts a mermaid and merman, but the artist remains unknown. Folklore has it that wherever you find mermaids, there are always mermen lurking around. Mermen sightings haven't been reported as much as that of sirens, but they supposedly live together beneath the waves. Mermen are often described and depicted as wild-looking, brutish, and being hairy. Naturally, that is a quite significant difference from mermaids, who are always said to be strikingly beautiful, which might explain why the female members of the species always had a fascination with passing sailors. Number 2. Mermaid of ZENNOR. The St. Sonera Church in the Cornish village of ZENNOR has been a real delight for visitors since the 12th century. A mermaid chair is the highlight found inside the South Side Chapel. The chair dates back between 1400 to 1500, and it has an engraving of a mermaid carrying a mirror and comb. The mermaid's pose is reminiscent of classical depictions of Aphrodite, who is the goddess of the sea and love. During the medieval period, performing miracle plays were a part of the Cornish custom. The performances included a mermaid character representing the dual nature of Christ. It symbolized Christ being both man and God, the same way the mermaid was part fish and part human. ZENNOR has always been linked to mermaid legends, and one has it that a mermaid was lured to the St. Sonara Church when she heard Matthew Trewella, a member of the choir, singing. The siren lured him to the sea, and he was never to be seen again. Number 1. Sumerian Fishman. The Sumerian civilization believed in the Apkallu, who were considered as antediluvian demigods. Enki, also called Oannes, the fish man god, sent the semi-divine beings to guide humans through the arts of civilization and moral codes. In total, there were 7 fishmen and 7 more birdmen. Scholarly literature refers to them as the 7 sages, and each one has an association with a mythic king. 5 references, including the Bible, the Book of Jubilees, Book of Enoch, the Book of Watchers, and Hesiod's Catalogue of Women, mention these mythical creatures. Thanks for watching! Coming up next, mysterious tiny mummies and skeletons. There was an addition to the list of mysterious tiny mummies when a strange tiny skeleton was found in Atacama Desert. This skeleton, named Atta, looked nothing like a human being. It had an elongated skull, a deformed face, 10 ribs, and a body that was only 6 inches in length. After its initial discovery, it was announced